Welcome to Carrying Wayward, a supernatural podcast for fans who aren't ready to let go and newcomers to the series who are ready to jump in. I'm Drew Schulman.
And I'm Marie Vigourou. In this episode, we're diving into Supernatural Season 9, Episode 9, Holy Terror. Let's get this show on the road. I just wanted to take a moment before we start this episode to say that this is the first recording that you and I, Drew, have had since our dear friend and basically everyone's favorite podcaster, Jeremy Greer, passed away from cancer. This immeasurable loss has left all the communities that he was a part of, both in person and online, completely devastated. For some context, he passed away peacefully and painlessly in the morning of July 3rd. And you and I were originally supposed to record this episode on July 4th. Obviously, that didn't happen. I left for France about a week later for my sister's wedding, and I've just come back a couple of days ago. And I guess the reason why I'm mentioning this is for context as to why I might sound a little less cheerful than I was in the first few episodes of this season. I'm actively grieving one of the best people I've ever known, and I think that it's going to seep through every interpretation, every take, and every thought that I have about Supernatural, because frankly, it has seeped and soaked through most of my thoughts in the last month. Jeremy always said that he really enjoyed listening to this podcast, and when I told him that we were starting to record again, he said, well, selfishly, I'm happy I get to listen to you guys again, and I am heartbroken that he never got to listen to any of the episodes of this season. I'm heartbroken about a lot of things, frankly. But I guess all I can do at this point is to grieve and to carry on. So, Drew, are we ready for the recap?
Count me down.
3, 2, 1. Oh my God, what the fuck was that?
Angels are at war. It's nuts. There's just angel combat after angel combat, and like there's different teams and there's different sides and there's different leaders and there's different sects, and Cass is caught up in the middle and gets kidnapped, and it's a bunch of shenanigans, and then all of this craziness, and we get led to the reveal that, oh hey, you know that angel who's healing Sam and being this hero who's like, he's gonna save the day. Yeah, liar. And now he's joining Metatron, and Metatron's back in the picture and playing this new, like, getting back into heaven and trying to get this Gadreel to redeem himself. And all of this to end with Sam being kidnapped and stolen by Gadreel and Kevin. Time.
Can I just say that I feel like almost every line of what you said could have been followed with again?
Yes. Yes, it does. It was really weird because the episode felt very like, I don't know, it felt very samey. It felt like everything was like not specific. It was like very generic. A bunch of angels are fighting each other. It was like, what was it, like a bus full of nuns, essentially.
Yeah, that was funny. I do like that.
And then, I mean, I will just argue now, like, yes, Dean hanging out in the bunker with Sam, who is possessed by the angel who can clearly eavesdrop on you. Sure, just talk openly about your plans to betray him. That's brilliant planning.
Listen, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this episode, I think is the best way to put this. It was actually written by Brad Buckner and Eugenie Ross Lemming. So I think that explains a lot of what's happening there. It was directed by Thomas J. Wright and originally aired on December 3rd, 2013. So if we're looking a little bit at like the salient stuff that happens and stuff, to keep in mind, or little flashbacks. Sam is getting more and more suspicious of what's happening with him between losing time and all. So again, like that's been made very clear that Sam is like aware.
He's so close to figuring this out.
I know. He was like, this is so close yet so far. Dean and Cass actually bring up April almost like longingly and lovingly, which is really strange considering like how that actually ended. But I do love this scene because Cass is hammered after one beer, and I do think that that's incredibly cute.
I do love that. It's like a side of it's just like a really good side of Dean we haven't seen in a while. And I kind of love
Hmm.
like plays it big, tough, sipping his whiskeys, but like when you get just one good dirty beer in him, it's like goner.
Dirtbag Metatron is back.
Oh my god. Can we will we ever get an angel on the show besides Cass? I don't want to punch right in the nuts.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, listen, I feel like this is an episode that just like brings back like the worst parts of previous seasons. The brothers are fighting, the angels are fighting, Metatron is back, and it's
Oh my
like I
god.
hate all of
It's the
this.
worst hits.
Worst hits, Supernatural, worst hits, season 9. Um, We find out that Ezekiel isn't actually Ezekiel, but Gadreel, who is an angel who's been imprisoned in heaven because he was actually the one to let evil into the Garden of Eden.
Yeah. I first of all, like what? Like I like I assume at some point before we inevitably kill Gadriel, we will find out the context of this. Like, did he just get sweet talked by Lucifer? Was he tricked? Was he like actually on Lucifer's side? Like, what was that whole deal about? And then, yeah, he's been seemingly locked up ever since.
Something you just said actually was really interesting because it means that then, like, him and Sam really have a lot in common in terms of how they see themselves, right?
Ooh.
Right?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. The connections of just their relationship with Lucifer each individually. Ooh. Ooh, I hate it. I hate it.
I hate it. Thank you. Um, So there's also like this really weird moment that really kind of jumped up at me when I watched this episode because Metatron says that he doesn't want to be God or be called God. He just wants to be called X. And,
Oh.
there's this saying that Supernatural has a gift for everything. And I just want to say, like, this is a really weird one to have a gift for, to have like a gift to represent a lying, cheating, usurper of power coming illegitimately into more power, calling things and himself X. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what this is about, right? I don't know. I don't what do I know?
The worst part is if like you ever had to ask me like what character could do it, I feel like the Metatron like doing the jump in the air and trying to make the X out of his body kind of pose would
Ugh.
totally be something he would do, and I
Oh
hate
my
it.
God. So anyway, moving on. There's a scene in this episode where Cass is like bloodied and his shirt is open and you can like see his chest. And some people, I don't know who they are, but some people do find Cass to be very attractive in that scene.
Oh yeah, no, that scene did not register with me at all, and I have no memory of it or pausing on it or looking at it earlier and seeing if yeah, no, let's move on, carry on, yeah, continue.
All right, he does end up stealing another angel's grace, so he's all juiced up and ready to go.
This is one of those things where it's like I guess like he never really had the opportunity until now to do it, but like it feels like a thing where it's like I kind of wish I had known it was an option on the table, like a little bit of a Chekhov's gun. Like it would have been cool to know that he could have taken it from the angel he killed in the first episode of the season or any of the other ones he's met since, but like chose not to because it's such a faux pas. So that him doing it now would be like more meaningful. But like, okay, cool. Are there ramifications to this? Does it like change you in some way because it's not your grace? I don't know. How does this work?
I have very mixed feelings about this episode. And this is one of the things that make me go, oh, really? Like it's one of those, I really hate when Supernatural does this, when they do this thing and you're like, I didn't know that that was an option. I kind of wish we had talked about this before. Like when they change the lore on you like that. Like I really don't like that. Anyway.
Here's what I'll say. I will defend it. And again, I know you won't spoil me and I'm not asking you to, but if we do come back to it and it becomes, even if it's like a one-off story beat of like, oh, because it's not his grace, there's an effect, I'll live with it. If it's just something they never talk about again because it was just a way to get his grace back because they couldn't think of another way to do it, shake a finger, little finger wag at them for lazy.
So there was a discussion at one point of grace and how much that matters, right? If we remember, oh my God, I want to say oh, well, it has to be season 4 because that's when the angels were introduced with Anna, right? She
Oh
lost her
yes.
grace. That was a big deal. But then basically losing her grace meant losing her wings as well. But now grace and wings are kind of like a separate thing for some angels.
Yeah, it feels very like loose.
It's a moving target, I think, much like Dean's sexuality.
If ever we do nail that one down, the sexuality or the what stealing a grace actually has a ramification, if any, I'll be happy to discuss it further.
And finally, in a shocking turn of events, like you said, Gadreel kills Kevin and tells Dean, there is no more Sam.
I don't think again, like the show when it comes to killing people, it's one of those things where it's like sometimes it's like really obvious, or they draw it out, or they make a whole episode out of it. But so like I kind of expect it sometimes, or at least like I sort of see like, oh, we were building to this. But Kevin just seems so out of left field. Like genuinely, like I don't think that was on a bingo card for like several more seasons at least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Woof. This week, our theme is identity. When presented with this theme, I had some expectations. Like, Sam has always had an identity crisis given his demon blood and the connections that he's led to. And with his current position as like angel host body, it seemed clear this would be like a paramount to like the discussion. You know, Dean lies to Sam regarding the aforementioned possession. Seems like equally likely to be brought forth this week as, you know, something we're talking about. While I was correct on both fronts, it only made the shock that much more real to learn of Zeke's secret identity. Like that really I didn't expect. I assumed Zeke was Zeke. And like watch him not only join forces with Metatron, who has like returned bored of heaven alone because he's a loser, but like kidnapping Sam's body and fully stealing him, and then like taking Kevin's life, like just really like was raised a lot of questions.
So I feel like this is also kind of exactly what we've been talking about for the last like 8 episodes. We knew that this moment would come at some point. We knew that it would be ugly, and my God, was it ever ugly? With a twist, right? We weren't expecting the whole Kevin thing. We weren't expecting
No.
the fact that Ezekiel was not, in fact, Ezekiel, but was Gadreel. I remember the first time I watched this, I felt betrayed on behalf of Dean and Sam. I was like,
Yes.
oh, what? I was not happy.
Pearls were clutched.
Pearls were certainly clutched. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm very jet lagged. I'm back from France. So this is also kind of making me think about the relationship between identity and the choices that we make, right? And what I mean by that, like maybe a little bit more specifically, is how the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves, um, like about who we are, the kind of person that we are, how that affects the choices that we make and how we make those choices, like the process of making choices.
Oh yeah, I think identity is so empirically linked to like the choices we make, because the choices we make are based on our morality, our upbringing, our nature, that like it really represents who you are. Like I think very frequently, like you see a character make a choice, you see Sam or Dean make a choice, and you go like, yeah, that makes sense because of who they are, their identity.
I think sometimes it can also be about the kind of person we want to be, right?
True.
Um, and this is also where I'm thinking about that. Like, where are these characters making choices about who who they want to be, who they are afraid to be, who they don't want to be? I think that those are all things that we can ask ourselves as we go through.
Yeah. So we'll start with Sam. Obviously, Sam would not take the news well, as we've discussed. He's been around, he's finally around to learn about this angel taking refuge inside of him. But it's then twisted on us that this reveal is still pending as Dean is sharing this moment of confession instead with Gadreel, Zeke's true identity. Sam is still in the dark and now maybe stuck there even longer than anticipated. Like his identity as Sam is now completely cut off for who knows.
Yeah, there is no more Sam. Like I said, that reveal really blew my mind the first time that I watched season 9. I was like, I don't love this season, but man, that was a good reveal.
Yeah.
Like, that was a good reveal. And then I also started feeling kind of silly to have even trusted Zeke or Gadreel, I guess, in this case, in the first place, because like when you think about it, how can you ever be sure that an angel is who they say that they are? Because they can take on like almost any vessel. Like there's no practical way for humans to know if they're telling the truth. And we saw that with Cass, right? Who was human. When he was told that this was Ezekiel, he was like, sure, yeah, whatever. Like I can't check. So it's just like, okay, so you're telling me that this is a thing that they need to be worried about now? Anyway.
I think up until now, there's been this sort of like unwritten rule of angels being not good guys, but at least not being malicious, not lying outright. Like they might be deceptive, they might choose their words in a certain way to like I feel like angels we've met in the past never like explicitly lied or did evil. They just bent to the rules to their whim. This is the first time I really feel like we've had an angel just outright lie to humans in like a complete like, oh no, I was being in like I was lying to you. This was a lie. This was a fib. You were caught.
No, so I do want to set that straight because there
Oh,
is literally a line at one point from an angel who says, I lied.
when was that?
It was like in the early seasons when Cass is like, you said blah 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 blah. And then like he goes like, I lied. And so like they do lie. They do. They absolutely do. They are deceptive. But there was an unwritten rule about us not having to worry about the identity of the angel, right? And that's I'm talking, I guess, a little bit more critically here, where like we didn't have to not trust that the story that we were being told was actually the story that we were being told, right? And I think that that kind of raises questions not only about angels and like their I guess trustworthiness, but also about like the trustworthiness of the storytellers, you know?
So leading up to this moment, we do see Sam begin to really like, as we said at the top, like really starts to call out this lost time and other like minor anomalies that are clearly tied to Gadriel's temporary takeovers. And now Gadriel is no longer hiding his identity, and as such, Sam is sort of his secret identity now. It's kind of like a hiding Sam to let Gadriel show, and I guess using Sam as a secret identity for Gadriel now. It's like a kind of weird like yin and yang. But like if he's going to exist in this world doing like I assume more evil biddings for Metatron, like he is going to need to blend in with other against other angels and humans, and this body seems that like is the best way to do that. So like Sam, who for so long has had an issue with his identity, is now going to be the disguise or the involuntary identity and mask to this monster.
And this is literally Sam's biggest fear, right? Like, this is what he was always afraid of with Lucifer, and now it's actually happening. Someone is using his body to commit atrocities. And so then the question becomes like, is he awake somewhere in there? Like, is he aware that Gadreel is making his body do these things? Like, was he awake or was he aware of his body killing Kevin? Like, is he going to remember that? Like you just know that he's gonna blame himself for all of this anyway. Like he's gonna take on the guilt of the actions that he didn't even choose to take. So like how's he going to make that fit into his idea of himself, right? Like if he remembers killing Kevin, is he going to think of himself as Kevin's murderer?
I mean, we've seen Sam
Yeah. We know
in,
the answer.
in like in scenarios where like he was probably more actively involved than he is currently. And also when he's been even less actively involved, and like he always has the guilt trip of like I was responsible for this, I let it happen somehow. I think this is the first time where I'm like, no, you legitimately had zero power over this. It sucks. It's unfortunate. You're gonna be feel shitty anyways, but like you 100% didn't. And yeah, I mean, I feel like angel possession versus demon possession is a lot less well discussed, at least in the show up until now. So we know that humans possessed by demons remember what the demons did and like we're like there as like unwilling passengers for the most part. I don't know how angels do it, and I'm intrigued to know can they choose to do it or not do it? Like, is it a thing? I mean, whatever the answer is, I'm looking forward to. I assume later this season when we get Sam back and we can answer some of those questions. I gather.
Let's hope we get Sam back because there is no more Sam. I
Yep, there
hate
is
this line so much.
I love the way you say it. You have the funniest voice when you do it.
It's just moving slowly further away from Supernatural and into Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I was gonna say it's Schwarzenegger. Get to the Sammy.
There is no more Sam. I spent time with German people, and I know he's not German, but like I spent time with German people when I was in France, and so now I'm like, there is no more Sam.
It's your inner monologue voice is German for a little while.
Exactly.
Well, we are going to move over to Dean for a bit because, as you said, there is no more Sam. Dean's been lying to Sam all season, making his true intent to Sam's own safety. He even goes so far as to like explicitly say to Sam, like, "Would I lie to you?" Like, which itself is a lie. So yeah, you do. But lying is like such a part of Dean, and even in his relationship to Sam, lying isn't rare for him. He's lied to Sam plenty. Heck, he even lied about where he was for 2 months during their childhood. Like, I don't think Dean sees lying to Sam as bad as it should be. Like, he lies to hide his true intent. We see it big and small. He lies to both Cass and Sam this season to appease Gadreel while he claims to be healing Sam, which I don't even know if he did. We see him lie about his time at the boys' home and how much he enjoyed it and how much he actually wanted to stay. We know he lies about being a hunter forever when we see the pleasure he takes in getting out of the business the rare times he gets to.
So I feel like I've moralized this a lot in the last few episodes. So I'm going to try to not do that and just talk about Dean's lying because I do think that you have an excellent point. I think that Dean lies when he feels the need to protect people. And he doesn't feel good about it, right? Like it's not comfortable for him to lie. It's actually quite emotionally painful for him. And we've seen this like this season so far. We've even talked about it. But also we see it when like he finally tells Sam what John told him on his deathbed, right? In earlier seasons. But I think that he sees this pain as the price to pay to protect those he loves, and particularly Sam. And that's how he makes that choice to lie to him. That's like the Dean math, if you will, that's happening in his head. Um, because he sees himself as like a protector and as his brother's keeper. And to him, I think that that identity is what he's trying to live up to no matter the cost.
I think it's a great way to look at it because again, like, yes, I think it's so easy to look at lying and just like, oh, it's like morally incorrect and like it's we're so busy on that
and we've
side
said
of it.
that quite a bit, right?
100%.
Like when people know how we feel about lying, right? Like, it's fine.
But you're right. I think there is like that internal math that we all do when we do lie of like the cost versus benefit of the lie.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Like there's definitely even the actions Dean has taken that has led to these lies, i.e., lying to Sam to let an angel possess him to save him. He sees mathematically as a moral good points. It's upvotes morality versus the downvotes of lying.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, Dean's identity is made up of so many lies, and that's just like in this last couple of episodes, we've discussed his machismo as a mask for his sexuality in the past, and his caginess around discussing his time without Sam or John. You know, Dean wears lies on some level. I wonder how much of these lies he believes and what parts of his identity he can tell apart from those lies.
I also hate this. You can take it back. Thank you.
Whoops.
I actually really love this idea about Dean lying to protect parts of himself as well, the same way that he would use it to protect people that he loves. And maybe that's the thing that we should keep in mind here if we want to offer grace and understanding to Dean in this moment, is that people can lie when they feel unsafe, like you said. And I think that Dean definitely is one of those people who does that, who lies when he feels unsafe. probably did a lot in his childhood and, carried that through adulthood.
No, that does make a lot of sense. And speaking of lending grace, Cass is back.
Oh,
Uh,
Jesus Christ.
I love his. He's back to his fake FBI identity in an attempt to get back into helping with the angel-related case this week, as he does still feel responsible. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, he was tricked into it. So again, like we said with Sam earlier, it wasn't his fault. He was tricked, but he was the one who did the action, so he feels responsible. And while we've seen Cass begin to like come to terms with his like being human and what that means for him moving forward, we see that as a part of him. No matter how much he embraces being human, he'll always be the Cass who needs to help.
I honestly really love that. I love that observation because even when he was like at his most human, like without stolen grace, like as Steve, as working at the gas station, like he was talking about like trying to live a meaningful life. And what that means to Cass is trying to live a life where he's making a difference in other people's lives and helping them out as much as he can, which was also true when he had like ingested all of the Leviathan, if you remember, right? Like that was his goal.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that the only thing that changes, depending on whether or not Cass is like an angel or a human or quote unquote the new god, like the only thing that really changes is the scale of how much he can help people. But helping people really is at the core of how he thinks of himself.
Yeah, it's very core to his identity. That's the even that he's in a position where he doesn't have the. I feel like every comic book has explored this of the like, oh, Superman loses his powers, and he's still like, I may have no powers, but I have a moral compass, and I'm going to do the right thing, even if I don't have the super speed and invulnerability I once had. And that is very Cass in this moment, which I think is very sweet.
It's very like your power does. Are you the god of thunder or the god of hammer kind of thing, right? Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
I love that line, I have to say, because it's dumb. It's such a dumb line,
it's
but it's like
oh,
it's
it's
so
such a good dumb
good.
line. And of course, the thing keeping him from being an angel, to go back to Cass here, is that he's lost his grace, which it appears he can, like we said, just take from another angel, thus restoring him. And like, well, not answer this week. Like I said, I am intrigued to see what becomes of Cass's humanity as he returns to his angel status. Like, how much of him will remain versus how much will he lose? Like, I love the idea of him like no longer needing to drink water, but still doing it as like a stress reliever, like kind of the way someone would smoke.
We might actually hear a little bit more about this and his thoughts on eating and drinking later on. So we'll see.
Oh, that's the kind of stuff I love. Yes.
Hmm.
Um, we have a few more characters to touch on this week, and unfortunately, one of those I do have to bring up is Kevin. Kevin had like really just found his family. Like, while we didn't really see too much of him since like episode 2 this season, we had the moment where Dean explained to him that he is truly a part of their family. Kevin, whose life was completely upended and torn asunder, had like finally reached a point of understanding who he was and his place in this new family, and identity begins to form in his new life, only to be taken away so abruptly.
There's like a real tragedy to Kevin's death, I find, because he was kind of just at the wrong place in the wrong time. Because, like, yes, of course, like he was targeted by Gadreel and Metatron, right? But if he hadn't been in the bunker with Sam in that moment, with Sam and Dean in that moment, or if like Gadreel hadn't been wearing like Sam's meat suit, like he might have stood more of a chance. Like if he had been told what was going on. Like I feel like there's just so many what ifs, right? That are kind of like dancing around here, and it just feels like, oh, I don't know. There's something really unfair about it, I find. That's the whole point, actually, obviously, right? Like that is the story that's being told, is that it is completely unfair.
Which just brought to mind, and I mean, like, I know we're gonna watch the spiraling of Dean after this because he
Oh,
blames
yes.
himself, and like, right, like again, this is a scenario where like this was directly like related to your
A
actions that this
result of his
happened.
actions.
This
Yes,
is
of
a hundred
course.
percent a consequence. But I think there's also the
Unintended,
moment,
but definitely a
100% unintended,
consequence. Yeah.
but also the fact that not only did he allow Gadreel into Sam's body and like let him like become this murderer and like basically save this person who should have been ousted, but he convinced Kevin to stay in the bunker.
Yeah.
Kevin was
Yeah.
there as much as Gadreel was there because of Dean. oh, this is
Mhm.
gonna wreck him, and I don't want to see it.
I think that you have a really good point here that like I think Dean's guilt is going to reach new heights or new lows, perhaps? New lows. Let's say new lows.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's more apt. And of course, and again, this is one of those moments where, like, again, like the theme was selected. I watch it with the theme in mind. And of course, when you give me a theme, my brain is very like, how does this affect Sam and Dean and maybe a bit character this week who will kind of tie them into it? But to literally have this episode be Gadreel revealing his true identity was like such a
We're
perfect,
such
like,
assholes.
oh, but in the most loving way. Like this is when someone pranks you and it's like a prank that actually like scares you or actually like gives you like a moment of like panic, but then you realize like that was really funny though on the hindsight.
Yeah.
But like we do have this reveal that Ezekiel died during the fall and there is no Ezekiel anymore, so this couldn't be him. And we learn of his past mistakes that he found
Are
him
you
locked
saying
up
there
in
is no
punishment.
more Zeke?
There is no more Zeke. There is no more
Sorry.
Zeke. I can't do the voice like Batman now. There is no more Zeke. Where is he? But we learn of his past mistakes. Sorry, it's okay. But oh god. But yeah, no. So there's no more Zeke. Just Gadreel. We can never say those words again. We've ruined them. Zeke is no longer an entity we have to deal with. We have Gadreel.
Zeke is no more.
There is only Gadreel. Yeah, so obviously we learn why he hid his identity, that he, was locked up for his punishment, which explains why he needed to keep his name a secret, because obviously if people knew who he was, I imagine he wouldn't have gotten nearly as far.
Right, exactly. And I think that this is probably where we should mention that Gadreel has probably internalized himself as being a fugitive like so much that, like you said, it probably guided his choice to lie to Dean about who he was.
Mm.
Um, we talked about how Dean lies to protect himself, but here Gadreel did the same, right? Like, and I kind of wonder if it would have mattered to Dean either way. Like, Dean didn't really. I don't think that Dean would have cared if Gadreel was like an enemy of heaven because Dean himself isn't really a friend of heaven to begin with. You know what I mean? So I just like this all seems so futile. Like it just seems like such a waste of everything. Ah,
You now just brought up a point, especially like again, the setting the proper stage to get there, where Gadreel doesn't lie to Dean and is honest with him, knowing that Dean has a poor relationship with heaven as it is. So yes, we're both on the wrong side of this, and like yes, they have reasons to hate me. We can go into that later. But I want to do good. Like one, no lying involved there at least. Maybe lying to Sam to still get the whole thing going might have been an issue. But I then wonder, the more big part of this is, would Gadreel feel that he needs to go back to Metatron if he was able to confide in Dean instead?
exactly. And especially like again, keep in mind what we talked about earlier about like Gadreel and Sam actually probably having a lot more in common, right? And it's
Yeah.
like this could have worked. Ah, yeah, it just feels like a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on that point, it spirals beautifully into story thoughts here at the end. Yeah. My big takeaways are shocker of an ending. Like, obviously, I need to know if
Mm,
this is, again, this is the problem. Like, I was emotionally, I felt it. I was there. I was
yeah.
shocked. I was sad. I'm still sad. But the show has a way of not letting people stay dead. So, like, is this really the end of Kevin?
You
Like,
never know.
yeah. Like,
Hmm.
I also need to know what's next for Sam and Dean, because obviously Dean is now running solo and needs to, reunite eventually with him.
Hmm.
I would guess Dean reunites with a freshly repowered cast to go after Sam Gadreel. But again, more questions. Was this all part of Metatron's plan? Like, was he planning to free Gadreel, knowing that getting them all out of heaven would free him? Or is this totally an unintended side effect? What other imprisoned
Again, you
angels?
never know because he's
Yeah.
kind of a chaos gremlin, right?
Oh, very much so. Uh, were there other angels locked up who are now set free? Were those also part of Metatron's plan, or just unintended consequences? You know,
I, I certainly don't know the answer to that.
again, that's the point of the segment. This is the you get to look at me and go,
Oh,
you know, and again, like why did he need Kevin killed? Like, maybe he knows Kevin could have found a way to undo his spell, which I guess tells us as the audience that there was like a something we didn't know yet about the spell that can get the angels back into heaven, and that's why he needed Kevin killed. But like why? Why was Kevin target number one?
I, I mean, he is the prophet, right? He is the prophet, the tablets, like that's kind of what I assumed when I watched it.
It feels like they got to a point where Kevin was no longer going to have a benefit in solving this problem. But the fact that he was made target number one tells me there is still something he could have done we didn't know about.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. You touched on this earlier too, but like how much of Sam is conscious or will be able
Mm.
to be conscious during Gadriel's time in the driver's seat? Like, are we gonna find out that like demons he's fully aware, or is he just like in a permanent little like happy dream nap?
I certainly don't know the answer to that either, Drew.
Yep. And obviously, I'm not expecting answers. Like I said, just letting you and our listeners know what's doing in my mind as we enter this like pretty tumultuous moment in the season where like we have truly shifted into something a little more crazy.
Like I mentioned at the top of the episode, my dear friend Jeremy passed away just a month ago. And this isn't the first time that I lose someone from online fan communities, but this is definitely hitting much closer to home because Jeremy and I were friends on and offline. And he loved his online communities. He loved podcasting about TV shows. Uh, he loved talking about his podcasts about TV shows, and he loved the people who listened to his podcast about TV shows. He also really loved when I talked about etymology. So, of course, I'm going to honor him by talking about the etymology of our theme of identity. It comes from the French identité, and before that, from Latin, identitas, from idem, meaning same. This is weirdly, I just remembered a theme that we've explored on Rude Eats, I believe in season 1 or 2. I don't remember exactly. So if you want more conversation about that, you can definitely go listen to that. Again, I am still very fascinated with this idea that identity, which like in Western culture tends to be geared very much towards like the individual, is actually about groups. So like being nerdy, for example, isn't something that like sets you apart as like cool or quirky, but it actually makes you something that brings you closer to other people who are also nerdy. And I just love the idea of identity as a driver for communities because we're hearing a lot of discourse in life as I gesture, like just around,
Mm-hmm.
about identity being something that's divisive when etymologically it really is not. And I mentioned this because Jeremy, partly through his podcasts, managed to create like really thriving communities that welcomed like all kinds of people. And sometimes the only thing that these people had in common was that they listened to Jeremy's podcasts. And that's very reminiscent of how fan communities are built. Sometimes all we have in common is that we really, really like this one same thing. And we fight about basically everything else, but the one thing in common is enough to create some really beautiful friendships. So I think that that's probably like the most compelling argument to me about the importance of self-knowledge, right? About knowing yourself, knowing your identity, because knowing who you are will inevitably bring you closer to finding other people with that sameness to you. And usually I ask like a how question in these segments, like how does what I'm saying relate to supernatural? But I really don't want us to think about how today. I'd love for us to think about who. So my question to us all is, who are the people you've gotten to know or gotten closer to thanks to online fandoms and communities? And I'd love for you all to share your stories with online friendships, whether the stories are deep and meaningful or shallow and mundane. We need all kinds of friendships and relationships in our lives, after all.
I don't want to sit here, eat up time, and answer this here. I will share mine online as well with everyone else because I want it to be a nice, good moment for all of us to be cathartic and talk about the people we have met through online fandoms. And I am going to cheat just a little bit here and say that it is really the fandom of podcasting that led all of us to meet so many cool people. I mean, I think Jeremy's a prime example of that, and just want to, be thankful that I got to meet him at all. This week, we have a message from Eli. Before we listen to it, we want to remind you to send us a 3-minute voicemail. To respond to anything we discussed today or ask us a question, you can use the recording app on your phone and email us that recording at carryingwayward@gmail.com.
Hi, my name's Eli, and I wanted to talk to y'all about your interpretation of Dean and the Demon Trials, mostly because I don't quite agree with y'all's original interpretation. It started when I was listening to your episode about 814 Trial and Error, but really solidified when I listened to the one about 815 Man's Best Friend with Benefits. You kept speaking, especially in 815, about Dean's lack of trust in Sam, by him saying that he should be able to step into the Demon Trials instead of or in place of Sam. You even compare it to him being the older brother taking over the video game controller for the boss fight. The thing is, I don't see Dean's attitude about the Demon Trials as a lack of trust in Sam's ability to do the Demon Trials. I see it as a manifestation of his I have to protect Sammy disease. We know that Dean doesn't always say what he means. We also know that he's a chronic worrier, especially about Sam. I could talk about Dean's relationship to anxiety, but that's a whole other topic. So I see his attitude towards Sam doing the Demon Trials as a manifestation of his worry for Sam and what might happen to him. He even says so in 814. We've been down roads like this before, man. We both know where this ends. One of us dies. We know that a defining part of Dean's personality is his taking care of Sam. We also know that Dean would do literally anything to keep Sam safe, including dying for him. Dean has also been dealing with suicidal ideation and suicidality the entire show, but especially surrounding the Demon Trials. He even repeats this sentiment in 814 to Sam when he says, you see a light at the end of this tunnel. I don't. And when he says, I want you to get out. I want you to have a life. That is my perfect ending. Dean is always willing to throw himself on the fire if it means that Sam gets out alive. I am perhaps biased about this situation as I am also an older sibling, and I would be really annoying about me doing the dangerous thing if I thought it would keep my little siblings alive. It's not that I don't trust my siblings or their abilities, it's more that I want to be able to be in control to make sure that they live. Because of how Dean lies about his true feelings, his internal obligation to keep Sam alive, and his currently passive suicidality, I believe that his consistent pestering of Sam to let him jump in on the Demon Trials is less of Dean not trusting Sam's ability to complete them, and more of a way for Dean to try and take control of the situation without letting it be known how worried he is for Sam and how unprepared he is to let him die. P.S. I would like to clarify that I do not think that Sam's reaction to what Dean actually says is invalid. Dean is being rude and controlling of Sam because of his own issues, and it does come across as Dean not trusting Sam. So, thank you all for making this podcast. It has convinced me to rewatch/finish Supernatural, and it really filled a hole in my life that was missing because I missed literary analysis so much, and I don't really get to do that in my current career path. So, thank you.
Well, Eli, would you look at that? Look at what we've been talking about today. Thank you so much for this voicemail, because I think that, again, like witchy vibes, I suppose, but it really ties into what we've been talking about today, about how basically protecting Sam is such part of Dean's identity that he will literally make all of the bad choices in order to make that identity like come up to the surface. So yeah, absolutely agree with you. I think that Sam definitely sees it as a lack of trust, and I think that the little sibling, in this situation would definitely see it that way, even though it is not. I don't think it is, but I think it might come across as that. Um, yeah, I'm not too sure what to add because I just think that we've talked about it so much this episode. Like, I really hope that this kind of I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like every time there are sometimes like voicemails that come back and it's like, hey, you guys said this. And I'm like, and I don't agree because I think this. And I'm like, but I agree with you. I don't agree with me. Like I said something silly. So I just really love when this happens. So thank you very much for this voicemail. It was really lovely. And yeah, I agree with you. Not with me.
Yeah, first, Mary, you nailed my point on the head right there, and I'll iterate on that. But like Eli, thank you for this message because again, and I feel like I feel I'm getting the vibe we both had the same kind of sentiment of the episode, and it wasn't targeting me. Although the video game controller moment seems like a very me coded line.
Like I have a feeling that you said that.
Yeah, I'm pretty
But
sure
I
that was a me
remember
line.
agreeing to it. So
Yes, but I think you're right. It's one of those moments where I'm sitting here listening to this, being like, "Oh yeah, you're 100% right. What the hell did I say?
yeah, I know,
what was
right?
my opinion last time? Like, I almost need to like go back and re-listen to that episode, like that conversation, and be like, yeah, no, I was wrong. Eli was right. What am I talking about? Why? What am I doing here?
Yeah, like what the fuck was I thinking?
What was I? What was I drinking that day? But
Yeah.
I think that also has something to do with the way the show is like, how the characters are portrayed on the show. Is that like, well, I think deeper down your interpretation of them and the idea that Dean's real goal is not so much that Sam can't do it, but that he wants to be the one to do it. So he's putting himself at all the risk and saving his little brother like he always wants to. I think there is still a part of Dean that, while that is the truth behind his actions, that whole thing, like, there's a little bit of truth behind every lie. I think there is a part of Dean that's like, I like would be so worried if something were to go wrong and you were to screw this up and like I had not been able to screw it up, like I would have been the stronger one to do it, kind of thing. That like ultimately, yes, it is to protect Sam, but I think also having more of the control makes him feel more confident, more so than like believing in Sam, who 100% can do it, as we've seen. But I think there's just like not having the control is what scares him.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely, like you said, Eli, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Dean's relationship to anxiety because I really feel like this is kind of related there. So
More voicemails, we'll take them.
we actually need more voicemails. We are running out of them. Please send us voicemails. Things I never thought I would say. We are running out of voicemails. Please send them in.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, Eli, also thank you for like that lovely shout out there in the message as well about like continuing to watch the show or like finish a rewatch because of us. Because that's like my favorite part of this is knowing that there's other people who either fell out of love with the show or hit a wall where they couldn't complete it. Like even just today, having a conversation with a stranger who mentioned something about Supernatural. I was like, oh, I do a podcast about that. And they're like, oh, cool. Like I got to like maybe season like 6 or 7, fell off. And I'm like, we're about season 9. And then you just right in front of me was like, download. I'm going to listen to this. Why not? Like, I want to go back and watch it now. I have an excuse. And I'm like, aw, I feel like a corporate shill, but aw. So thank you. Thank you for joining us on this journey. And I hope we can make it to the end all together. Well, here we are at the end of the episode. And I'd like to ask you, Mary, what did you learn this week?
I think that this episode is really making me think about like the people we take for granted, like Kevin, in this case, and how nothing's given in life. So just tell people you love that you love them. That's what I've learned.
That is damn solid.
Yeah. What about you, Drew? What did we learn?
I mean, I think from a very like episode centric point is that I can never trust this damn show. It will always find a way to surprise me, and a major character death with zero like signs of it coming up will still happen.
And changing the lore on us too. Again, I'm gonna mention that like again because I feel like that was like a betrayal of me. Like that was a personal betrayal. I'm not happy about it. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, like everyone knows here. I love my like weird specific lore about shit that will never come up again. So to like bring it up and not make it matter or do anything or like actively betray the lore like is as painful to me as losing Kevin was.
This was Carrying Wayward, a supernatural podcast produced by Rochelle Castellano, hosted by Marie Vigourou
and Drew Schulman. Thank you to everyone supporting us on Ko-fi or Patreon,
including our bunker patrons, Jeremiah Thomas and Michelle.
We'd also like to thank Jake Lionheart for our music.
Head over to carryingwayward.com to become a patron or a Ko-fi subscriber, and for our merch store and our socials. And write us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Carry on our wayward friends.